In today's bulletin, we bring you a range of important stories that highlight the ongoing efforts to improve healthcare, leadership, and community wellbeing for Indigenous Australians. The Victorian Government is set to open new clinics providing culturally safe healthcare for Aboriginal women in Melbourne. While in New South Wales, the historic appointment of Claire McHugh as the first female CEO of the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council marks a significant step forward for land rights. Meanwhile, a proposed entertainment complex on sacred Aboriginal land in Mandurah, Western Australia has sparked heated opposition, and new data reveals concerning trends in out-of-home care placements for Indigenous children in the Northern Territory. More on that later. Kaya, this is the National Indigenous Times Daily News Bulletin for Friday the 28th of February. The Victorian Government has announced that Aboriginal women in metropolitan Melbourne will soon have access to free, comprehensive and culturally safe healthcare, with new clinics set to open in Thomastown and Frankstown by mid-2025. The clinics, operated by First Peoples Health and Wellbeing, will offer essential services such as screening, diagnosis, and management of conditions like pelvic pain, endometriosis, menopause, and termination of pregnancy. Minister for Health Marianne Thomas said, "We are transforming the way women's health is delivered to Aboriginal women across Victoria. The clinics will work closely with services across the state to ensure the location is no barrier to medical care." This initiative is part of the Victorian Government's $153 million pledge to improve women's health and healthcare access. Minister for Treaty Natalie Hutchins added, "This clinic will bridge existing gaps in healthcare for Aboriginal women and is another step on the road to improving healthcare outcomes for Aboriginal Victorians. The new services will help increase health literacy, promote self-determination, and ensure timely access to culturally safe care." 3 tropical cyclones, Ray, Saru, and Alfred, are currently active in the South Pacific, marking a rare but not unprecedented event. The cyclones, which formed over 5 days, span a region from Australia's eastern coast to 8,000 kilometres into the Pacific. Alfred, which formed on Monday, has intensified into a Category 3 storm with wind gusts of up to 185 kilometres per hour, though it remains uncertain whether it will make landfall in northern Queensland. Ray, which developed on Friday north of Fiji, has caused strong winds and heavy rain, damaging fruit trees in the area. Saru, tracking near Vanuatu, is expected to remain offshore. While cyclones are not uncommon in the region, the simultaneous occurrence of 3 is unusual during the current La Niña phase, which typically cools ocean temperatures and limits cyclone activity. Climate scientists suggest the climate crisis and a Madden-Julian oscillation may be influencing the storms, with Gabriel Vecchi stating, "The atmosphere is chaotic. We need to be open to the possibility that factors beyond our ability to predict might have led to these 3 cyclones at the same time." Authorities continue to monitor the cyclones as the season reaches its peak. The New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council has announced the historic appointment of Claire McHugh as its new Chief Executive Officer, making her the first woman to hold the role. McHugh, a proud Gamilaroi Dunghutti woman with strong ties to the Redfern, La Perouse and Central Coast communities, will officially begin her tenure on the 14th of April 2025. She joins the council after serving as the Executive Director of Aboriginal Languages Trust, where she played a key role in shaping the organisation's future. McHugh expressed her excitement about the role, acknowledging the challenges ahead and her eagerness to collaborate with the council and the network to further advance land rights in New South Wales. The council expressed confidence in her leadership, noting her expertise in senior leadership and deep commitment to community and land rights. The organisation has also extended gratitude to Heidi Hardy for her leadership as transitional CEO. The City of Mandurah has decided to proceed with a major entertainment complex on the western foreshore despite significant opposition from the local Indigenous community. The development proposed by Left Coast Leisure Group includes a brewery, restaurant, chocolate factory and a mini golf site. Over 100 ratepayers and the Nala Budja Aboriginal Corporation have raised concerns, with Kai Bernard from the corporation emphasising that the site is part of a recognised Aboriginal heritage area. She stated that the location is sacred to Aboriginal people and has been a gathering place for thousands of years. Despite these objections, the council voted against a motion to rescind the lease, with only 4 councillors supporting the motion. Local leaders, including Frank Nunna from the Winjan Corporation, also voiced their opposition, highlighting the Western Foreshore as a family area and questioning the appropriateness of an alcohol venue in such a place. New data from the Australian Institute for Health and Welfare reveals that over 70% of Indigenous children placed in out-of-home care in the Northern Territory during 2022 and 2023 were not placed with an Aboriginal family or community, making it the lowest rate in the country. This practice contradicts the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander placement principle, which prioritises placing children with family, kin, or close to their country. CEO of SNAKE, the National Voice for Our Children, Catherine Little, emphasised that children have better outcomes when connected to their culture, reducing the risk of involvement with the child protection and juvenile justice systems. The new data highlights ongoing concerns about the Northern Territory's handling of child removals, particularly in light of proposed amendments that could make it easier to remove Aboriginal children from their communities, sparking criticism from experts and Indigenous leaders. The Northern Territory government has defended the move, but Little warned that weakening the principle undermines efforts to close the gap and risks the cultural and familial rights of Aboriginal children. Aboriginal Art Co hosted its monthly Footsteps First Nations art tour in South Brisbane on Wednesday, guided by Gamilaroi woman Rachel Bywaters. The tour showcased local Indigenous public artworks with stops at significant sites in the Fish Lane precinct. Participants learned about the cultural stories behind the art, highlighting Aboriginal culture's presence in urban spaces. Bywaters emphasised the importance of engaging with First Nations art and artists to deepen understanding and support cultural expression. The tour runs on the last Wednesday of each month. Taryn Thomas's 2-week trial with the Waffle Club at Swan Districts has been cut short after just 2 days, with the club announcing Thursday they would not recruit the former AFL player. Thomas, who was cleared by the AFL to play State League football in 2025 following a lengthy ban and dismissal from North Melbourne due to allegations of harassment and bullying, had recently sparked backlash over his involvement with the club. Swan Districts faced criticism over the move, particularly regarding the club's stance on gendered violence. Chief Executive Jeff Dennis emphasised the club does not condone Thomas's actions, while also expressing a desire to help him rebuild his life. That's today's daily news roundup from the National Indigenous Times. For more news, head to nit.com.au to sign up to our free newsletter.